Hello and welcome back to Lessons in Attachment. If you are brand new here, hello, welcome. I am Carly Ann. I am a CBT practitioner and a somatic attachment coach, helping people to move from insecure to secure. And if you are returning, welcome back. It's such an honor. Today, I am going to be talking to you about something that comes up a lot. One, people want to know my experience and also just in general about this huge part of healing. That is around the transition from being attracted to emotionally unavailable, the avoidant type, to being attracted to people that are emotionally available, maybe sometimes referred to as the nice guy. I don't know how I feel about that, or the nice girl. I don't necessarily know how I feel about that, but we get the point, right? We understand what we're saying. Emotionally unavailable versus emotionally available. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how we can make that transition. For me, I'm going to be using my experience as well. It's something that I really feel strongly about because I know that when you're in the trap of anxious avoidant, I know it can feel like you're stuck there forever, especially if you currently think some emotionally unavailable person is the one. It will feel like you're never going to get through this. Or perhaps if you're back here again, like it's the third, the fifth, the 10th time, and you just feel like, am I ever going to break free of this? Remember, it only takes one person for us to have broken free from that. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the process of how that happens and perhaps a little bit about what it looks like as well. But before that, I want to remind you about my 7-week course, Becoming Secure. The next round of Becoming Secure and more kicks off on the 19th of Feb. This is my 7-week intensive course, and it is ideal for you if you are currently healing attachment wounds, but you're hitting a wall. Your insecurity is negatively impacting not only your relationships, but your well-being and your mood. You're still struggling to self-soothe in the moment despite knowing so much. You're still not attracted to the emotionally available ones. This podcast episode is also ideal for you. Or you feel perhaps at risk of losing your relationship right now. Over 7 weeks, we will work through 6 really important modules that are designed to help you move from insecure attachment to secure. That is including self-reflecting on your triggers, your past, and how you got to where you are, helping you to be able to self-soothe more than just knowing the information, but really being able to put this into practice using therapy tools, evidence-based, that we know can really work when they're practiced well. And that's what I want to pass on to you. We will be looking at building your resilience in the face of rejection and uncertainty when you're waiting for that text or unsure where you stand. And we will also be looking at your relationship with you, changing your thoughts and developing that inner sense of security that is so necessary for feeling secure. If you are tempted by this, then you can go and check out all of the details in the description. We start on the 19th of Feb, and I cannot wait. Currently, when I'm recording this, there's 7 spaces left, so go and check it out if you want to grab one of them. At this point as well, I should also say hello if you are watching on YouTube. I am back. I haven't uploaded to YouTube for quite a while. I was just really focusing on the podcast for a period of time, but I've decided to come back. So hello if you are watching me there or if you found me there. So guys, it is no secret that individuals with an anxious attachment often find themselves drawn to unavailable partners, will tend to overlook red flags and warning signs. And I really want to help you to break this attraction so that you can find more secure, available relationships attractive, so that you can experience love, respect, security that you've always deserved. People tend to find, or anxious individuals tend to find, that the secure, available ones can seem too nice, too much, they're boring. You've got to the point, though, of realizing that there's something going on for you. You've probably read now enough about attachment that you're knowing that this is about your internal reactions to the world, to love, to relationships, than it is reality. And you probably know that if you're going to have a long-term relationship, like I know you want, then this attraction is something that really needs to shift. Now, in terms of why are we attracted to these people that do not make us feel good in the long term? Yes, I know you have that chemistry, I know you have that high, but I'm talking about in the long term, in relation to your values, how you see your life. This probably doesn't match that. Maybe you think the person does, but I'm sure that what you're actually experiencing, if you're listening to this, it probably doesn't match what it is that you really want for yourself in the long term. So, in terms of why that is, I understand that's a question. It's not what we're covering today, but I will come back next week. So, a week from today, I will upload a new episode and we can look at why it happens. But for today, let's give you what you came here for and let's go through 8 ways that you can start to develop your attraction to the available, emotionally available, let me say, secure type. I believe that you deserve a healthy, happy love in your lifetime, especially if you haven't had the best start in love. Now, the first tip is around self-reflection. Taking the time to understand your attachment style, to recognize your patterns in past relationships, to reflect on what is it about this experience that feels normal to me? Why is it that I am able to tolerate these kind of uncomfortable feelings of back and forth, hot and cold, whatever it is that you're experiencing in your dynamic, to be able to have an honest conversation with ourselves, to step back and understand our experience. And like I say, why we can tolerate this is key. We see this in journaling, we see this in therapy, in courses like Becoming Secure, that provide you that space to really dive into your own patterns. Understanding that is one of the first steps to really being able to change this pattern so that you can become more available to secure emotionally unavailable people. Tip number 2, this one you really have to be honest with yourself. The reality of the situation when you are attracted to people that are unavailable, not showing up for you, is that often you are self-abandoning. You are unavailable yourself in many ways for yourself, and maybe even for other people that probably won't feel like that for you, because it probably feels like I am all in. What we need to do here, and this takes a lot of practice, is to embody our most secure self. You have a secure self within you. It's about rediscovering. We need to embody self-respect and self-love for you, for your past self, for everything that you've been through so far. When you raise your standards of how you treat yourself, things will catch up. You will start to want that kind of treatment in your relationships, in your environment. So, treating yourself the way that you want to be treated in a relationship is key for setting those standards. So, embodying that each day, checking in each day. How am I going to respect myself today? How am I going to love myself today? How am I going to step into my most secure self today? That is key. When we do that, slowly but surely, people unavailable, people not showing up, people that are hot and cold, yes and no, inside out, upside down, it becomes less attractive. You will just not want it. There will be that stage. The third tip, this comes into the core, subtly actually, of all of my courses, everything that I do, what I share on social media, on this podcast, YouTube, is to prime inner security, regulating, soothing, the language that you use, love, connection, patience. If we look at a secure, healthy nervous system, we need to prime that if this is not something that you have been used to so far, bit by bit, step by step, you're going to have to create that for yourself so that that can begin to feel normal for you. And then when you are around someone that offers that, that naturally has that energy, it won't feel so off. You won't feel so distrustful of it. Is that a word? But it will begin to feel normal, and that's what's really key. And also, when we do that, it changes how we think, it changes how we behave. And so, again, who we are attracted to will begin to naturally shift. Okay, tip number 4 is what I think can drive a lot of anxiety. It can drive the fear that I'm going to be alone forever. It can drive the fear of maybe, someone is better than no one and I should just go back, and maybe sometimes you do. This is the limbo, the space that comes between the attraction to unavailable and the attraction to someone available. There is this in between stage where you start to literally be like, to this treatment. I remember the person that I was dating, um, where I first really thought, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this is someone I would have entertained in the past." And I really remember it clearly. I know where I was. I just know that feeling. In the past, I would have like kept this conversation going. We were texting, and I was just like, "No, absolutely not." I could see it, I could feel it, I could smell it, and it just wasn't attractive anymore. But there was also this point of being like, "Well, who am I attracted to then?" And there is this limbo stage. And so maybe this is your time to have your yes year. Maybe this is your time to, go in on steps 1 to 3 or tips 1 to 3 that we've discussed already. But there is this limbo where you're going to need to really be with yourself, trust yourself. And actually, that leads us into the 5th tip, which is to keep going even when you can't see the results yet. So just because you haven't yet met your person, it doesn't mean that this isn't working. It just means you haven't crossed paths yet. Doing the inner work doesn't override timing. It doesn't mean the person's going to just walk around the corner tomorrow. So we have to trust in ourselves that this is worth it, because I know what I want in life. I know the kind of relationship I want to be in. That's not working anymore. I can't yet see the future, but I'm going to trust. And if you can do that, I really believe that's going to help you in so many ways. I had a long period of doing this, and I just remember trusting that at some point when I had no idea when it would be, I was going to meet someone. And for me, I just always remember, like, I know it was a Sunday, well, technically it was a Friday, but properly on the Sunday. And just that day when I went out, I had no idea my life was going to change, but I had trusted before that when the timing is right, this will all have been worth it. And so, yeah, you just never know when. So don't put pressure. That kind of slows down the healing, if anything, when you're thinking, right, well, I've done all this work. I've done steps 1 to 4. So where is the person? I've done the manifesting. So keep going, even when you cannot see what you're doing this for. And look at what else you're gaining from it. Look at the relationship you're building with yourself. Look at what else you can focus. But maybe that's a whole other podcast. Number 6 is to be with the discomfort instead of covering it up with your old painful patterns. When you're in that state of limbo, or when you have a lonely Sunday, or when you are, I don't know, just having one of those moments where all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to reach out to that person. I'm going to go back on the app right now, even though I was having a little bit of a break whilst I figure myself out and, do all these other things in my healing journey. In that moment of discomfort, of maybe loneliness, frustration, whatever it is that's triggered you and whatever emotion is coming up, we've got to learn to be able to tolerate that feeling instead of covering it up with the old painful pattern. The pattern is the seeking reassurance, the external validation, the thing that we do to stop feeling a certain way. So be with the discomfort. be with your experience, and that's going to help you to get to where you're going. Tip number 7 is to lean into your priorities. Do you know what you value? This is your chance to expand your potential. Really check out who it is that you are, that big soul searching question of who am I? This is the ideal time to really lean into that, because that is how we become more available. When we know who we are and we know our values, we know more what we're looking for. We know then what kind of values we are interested in when it comes to other people. Because often when you're attracted to the red flags, overlooking the warning signs, there is a lot there that you don't value. And actually, so yeah, for that one, really look at your priorities. Look at what you want out of life. Think about your future and how you want to feel. What do you want to manifest into your world? When we know that, we know more what direction to go in. And most importantly, we will know what is not in that direction. And if someone comes in and they're pulling us just away from our values, away from what lights us up, away from what makes us feel good and secure inside, we're going to be able to recognize that. And we will be less likely to ignore it because we're firm in our values. The eighth and final tip that I'm going to give you today is to be mindful with who you are surrounding yourself with. In your environment, the people that you're sharing your time with, that you're speaking to, that you are sharing your energy with, they are going to influence what you accept in relationships. They are going to influence how you live your life. Expand, meet people that have a growth mindset like you do. I'm assuming since you're watching or listening to this, expand and meet people that are in a community with similar interests, with similar values around growth, self-development, or whatever it is your personal interests are. When you surround yourself with new, different people, that is also going to have an impact on your nervous system, on how people make you feel, on your just experience of relationships. And that's something that we can then bring to dating, that we can bring to our romantic relationships. It's going to change what we accept, what we desire, what we feel is acceptable. Maybe we're going to start setting boundaries more in these other relationships, and then we're going to do that in our romantic relationships. Maybe we're going to have more people that we can lean on and we can trust and cushion the fall in the world of dating. If something doesn't work out, have a really strong network around you that is supportive, expansive, that is helping you to grow and you're helping them to grow as well. There is the 8 tips. If we were to wrap all of these up, this is about being the kind of person that you want to date. I remember once walking across a field and I remember thinking, you know what, I've got to the point where I would date myself. I was proud with who I was becoming, the decisions that I was making. And I think that definitely changes what you're looking for. So, with all of these tips wrapped up into one, be the kind of person that you want to date. I would love to help you to embody these things through becoming secure, the attachment recovery gym, through having you here listening to my podcast. So also make sure that you follow me on Instagram, carly.ann_. So like I said, I will be back next week to talk about why this happens. If you do want the how-to on this, if you want to go deeper, you want the self-reflection to learn how to embody your most secure self and prime your inner security, then I absolutely do recommend Becoming Secure, because these things are just at the core of it. And it's really it's the foundations of the work that I do in helping people to move from insecure to secure. Thank you so much for being here. I would love it if you could subscribe, you could do all of the things. Follow me on Instagram if you're not already. That is carly.ann_, and I will be right back here soon.